met Bram Stoker's Dracula, a creature of the night, a blood-sucking fiend, the ultimate gothic horror. But what if I told you the man who inspired this legendary monster was far more terrifying than any vampire? This is the true story of Vlad III, Prince of Wallachia, a man whose real-life brutality eclipses any work of fiction. But forget the capes and fangs. The historical Dracula was a warlord forged in blood and fire, and his story is one of power, cruelty, and a legacy that has haunted history for centuries. Our story begins not in a Transylvanian castle, but in the heart of the powerful Ottoman Empire. As a young boy, Vlad, along with his younger brother Radu, was given up as a political hostage to the Sultan. For years he lived in the enemy's court, a gilded cage where he witnessed firsthand the absolute power and ruthless efficiency of the Ottomans. This was not a childhood of royal luxury. It was a masterclass in survival. He learned their language, their military tactics, and their methods of punishment. While his brother adapted and even befriended the future Sultan, Vlad's heart hardened. He harbored a deep-seated hatred for his captors and a burning desire to one day reclaim his birthright and protect his homeland from the very empire that held him captive. This experience didn't just teach him fear, it taught him how to use it. It planted the seeds of the man he would become, calculating, merciless, and utterly unforgiving. After his father and older brother were brutally assassinated by rival nobles, Vlad saw his chance. With a complex web of alliances and a will of iron, he fought his way to the Wallachian throne. But securing power was one thing, holding it was another. The kingdom was riddled with corruption and betrayal from the Bojars, the landed nobility who had killed his family. Vlad knew that to rule, he needed to command not just respect, but absolute terror. He began a systematic purge. One of his most infamous acts took place during an Easter feast. He invited hundreds of the Bojars who had plotted against him and his family. After the feast, he had the older nobles impaled on the spot. The younger, able-bodied ones were marched 50 miles to the ruins of a fortress and forced to rebuild it with their bare hands. Few survived the ordeal. This sent a clear message: loyalty would be rewarded, but treason would be met with an agonizing death. His methods were savage, but too many common people. He was a hero. He was seen as a just, albeit severe, ruler who stamped out corruption, protected the poor from the powerful, and established a brutal but effective sense of order in a land plagued by chaos. Vlad's reign was a constant battle against the encroaching Ottoman Empire, a global superpower at the time. He refused to pay the traditional tribute to the Sultan, an act of defiance that was essentially a declaration of war. In 1462, Sultan Mehmed II, the conqueror of Constantinople, led a massive army into Wallachia to crush this insolent prince. Outnumbered more than 3-1, Vlad knew a conventional battle would be suicide. So he turned to the tactics he knew best: fear and guerrilla warfare. He poisoned wells, burned villages, and launched hit-and-run raids on the Ottoman forces, wearing them down physically and mentally. This campaign of terror culminated in one of the most audacious military gambles in history, the night attack. Under the cover of darkness, Vlad and a small contingent of his best soldiers, disguised as Ottoman troops, infiltrated the Sultan's main camp. Their objective was not to win a battle, but to assassinate the Sultan himself. They stormed through the camp, creating chaos and panic, slaughtering thousands of Ottoman soldiers in a whirlwind of violence. While they failed to kill Mehmed, the psychological impact was immense. It proved that no one, not even the mighty Sultan, was safe from the ghost prince of Wallachia. The night attack had shaken the Ottoman army, but what they saw next shattered their resolve completely. As Mehmed's forces advanced toward the Wallachian capital of Targovet, they came upon a valley that would be forever etched in the annals of horror. Stretching for miles on either side of the road was a grotesque display. The forest of the impaled. On a forest of sharp wooden stakes, Vlad had impaled the bodies of over 20,000 captured Ottoman soldiers and Bulgarian collaborators. Men, women, and children were displayed in a gruesome tableau of death, arranged in concentric circles with the highest-ranking captives on the tallest stakes. The smell of decay filled the air for miles. The sight was so monstrous, so utterly inhuman, that even the battle-hardened Ottoman soldiers, who were no strangers to brutality, were horrified. The chronicles say that Sultan Mehmed himself, the conqueror of empires, was so shaken by the spectacle that he turned his army around and retreated. He had come to conquer a kingdom, but he found himself in a living nightmare orchestrated by a madman. Vlad had lost the war on paper, but he had won the psychological battle, proving that terror could be a more potent weapon than any army. Despite his fearsome reputation, Vlad's reign was short-lived, betrayed by his supposed allies and overwhelmed by the sheer force of the Ottoman Empire. He was eventually captured and imprisoned. He would regain his throne years later, but his final run as prince was brief. In 1476, he was killed in battle against the Ottomans. His head was reportedly sent to Sultan Mehmed in Constantinople, a final trophy to prove the dreaded impaler was truly dead. In his time, Vlad was a national hero to many Romanians, a fierce defender of their homeland and their Christian faith against a powerful invader. He was a brutal medieval warlord, yes, but a product of a brutal age. So how did this historical figure become the world's most famous vampire? After his death, stories of his cruelty, exaggerated by his German and Russian enemies, spread throughout Europe via the new printing press. These pamphlets became bestsellers, painting him as a demonic tyrant. Centuries later, an Irish author named Bram Stoker, researching Eastern European folklore and history, stumbled upon these tales. He borrowed the name Dracula, which meant son of the dragon, and fused the historical accounts of Vlad's cruelty with local vampire myths. And so, Vlad the Impaler, the Prince of Wallachia, was reborn. His historical identity was buried, and in its place rose Count Dracula, the immortal aristocrat of the night. The real man was replaced by the monster, proving that sometimes history itself can be the most creative storyteller of all. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this dive into the dark side of history interesting, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that are stranger than fiction. See you in the next one.